Ukraine and the United States have a similar value system, and I affirmed U.S. support for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. I've made it absolutely clear to President Putin, it's the last thing I'll say, that if he moves on Ukraine, the economic consequences for his economy are going to be devastating. Devastating.
The Ukrainians, my Secretary of State and National Security Advisor have been engaged.
I also made clear to President Putin that the United States is unwavering in our support of our allies and partners in Europe. In that vein, I expressed concern about Russia's military buildup on Ukraine's border and in occupied Crimea. I affirmed U.S. support for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine, and I strongly urged him to refrain from any military action. I shared with our allies that I'll convey to President Putin, that I'm not looking for conflict with Russia, but that we will respond if Russia continues its harmful activities. And we will not fail to defend the transatlantic alliance or stand up for democratic values. As allies, we also affirmed our continued support for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. I communicated the United States' unwavering commitment to the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. We agreed to pursue diplomacy related to the Minsk agreement. And while I reiterated my concerns about Nord Stream 2, Chancellor Merkel and I are absolutely united in our conviction that Russia must not be allowed to use energy as a weapon to coerce or threaten its neighbors. And today, we're launching a climate and energy partnership to support energy security and the development of sustainable energy technologies, and emerging economies, including in Central Europe and Ukraine. As we celebrate 30 years of Ukrainian independence, the partnership between our nations grows stronger, and it's going to even become stronger than it has been. Ukraine and the United States have a similar value system and a strong commitment to the fulfillment of a promise that we hope all will come forward, and that is a Europe whole, free, and at peace. And the United States remains firmly committed to Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity in the face of Russian aggression, and our support for Ukraine's Euro-Atlantic aspirations. Today we're going to discuss how the U.S. can continue to support Ukraine as it advances its democratic reforms agenda and movement toward being completely integrated in Europe. Look, we support Ukraine's territorial integrity. We support Ukraine's ability to govern itself.
I have been in constant contact with our allies in Europe, with the Ukrainians. My Secretary of State and National Security Advisor have been engaged extensively. And what I am doing is putting together what I believe will be the most comprehensive and meaningful set of initiatives to make it very, very difficult for Mr. Putin to go ahead and do what people are worried he may do. But that's in play right now.
What will you do to prevent Russia from invading Ukraine? The AP is reporting that they're expected to potentially invade in 2022.
We're aware of Russia's actions for a long time, and my expectation is we're going to have a long discussion. We'll see.
Do you accept Putin's red line on Ukraine?
I don't accept anybody's red line. I don't accept anybody's red line.
I mean, the meeting with Putin, I was very straightforward. There were no minced words. It was polite, but I made it very clear. If in fact he invades Ukraine, there will be severe consequences. Severe consequences. Economic consequences like none he's ever seen or ever have been seen in terms of being imposed. He knows his immediate response was he understood that, and I indicated that I knew he would respond, but beyond that, if in fact we would probably also be required to reinforce our presence in NATO countries to reassure particularly those in the Eastern Front. In addition to that, I made it clear that we would provide the defensive capability to the Ukrainians as well. Look, here's the deal. I've made it absolutely clear to President Putin, it's the last thing I'll say, that if he moves on Ukraine, the economic consequences for his economy are going to be devastating. Devastating, number one. Number two, we will find it required that we'll have to send more American and NATO troops into the eastern flank, the B9, all those NATO countries where we have a sacred obligation to defend them against any attack by Russia. And number three, the impact of all of that on Russia and its attitude, the rest of the world's view of Russia, would change markedly. He'll pay a terrible price. And so it's, and we are going to continue to provide for, and we have and continue to provide for, the defense capacities for the Ukrainian people. Thank you so much.